Hello, I am in Oregon. I'm at Mount Hood right now. I'm on the Oregon Trail, which is super exciting. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was parking, and more specifically, overnight parking. So I find parking in four different ways. The first two are apps, the third is exploring, and the fourth is word of mouth. So the first app that I use is called Trucker Path. And fun fact, I used to be a trucker. So I got that when I was trucking because it helped me with my trip planning. It's a good app. It shows you parking areas, picnic areas, rest stops, way stations, truck stops for fuel, and lots of other things. But I mainly use it for rest stops, parking areas, and picnic areas. And then, bless me. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Um, And the second app that I use is called iOverlander. And it's an app that has campgrounds, informal campsites, dispersed camping, pullouts that you can park overnight in, things like that. So those two apps I use in conjunction with each other. And oh goodness gracious. And normally between the two of those, I can find a good spot. But if I can't, then my next step is via exploring. And it's really just sort of driving around using your own instincts to gauge what's a good spot. Obviously, please read. Like, if it says private property, no trespassing, don't trespass. If it says no overnight parking, you probably shouldn't park there. But sometimes it's okay, depending if it's a spot where lots of other people are parked throughout the night and you really don't have anywhere else to go and you don't want to drive at night in an area you don't know. And then the fourth is word of mouth. So if I've been talking to somebody in the town, and they seem really nice, then sometimes I'll ask them if they know of a good spot. And locals can point you to places that you would probably never find on your own. So I was also watching YouTube, and Casey Roman, I forget her, YouTube name, but I'll put it down in the description. She was saying that, like, she even has called the cops before to be like, I'm on a road trip, I'm going through town, I just need to park somewhere to get a few Z's, how cool am I? A few Z's. But, what's a good place for me to do that? I just really want to be out of your hair. And she said that they've helped her before. I just haven't done that. But I wanted to talk about parking because last night I was in a spot and I was in the back, everything was closed down, and it was probably about 11 p.m. at this point, but I got there maybe around 9 or 10 maybe. I don't remember. But I heard a knock, knock, knock on my window, and I was like, who that? But I didn't really say anything because nobody has ever, like, knocked on my window. So I've had somebody knock on my window before, but it was for, like, my car broke down, do you have jumper cables, my battery is dead, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. So I was just like, yes. And he was like, you can't park here, please move on. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. And I did not hear any danger in his voice. You know what I'm saying? It didn't sound like he was trying to mess with me. It didn't sound like he was mad at me or anything like that. He just sounded like somebody's daddy. You know what I mean? Like somebody's daddy trying to protect the neighborhood kind of thing. So I'm just like, okay, no problem. Like, I'm on my way. Like, sorry. So I got in the front seat and I was smoking a cigarette, trying to wake up a little, getting all my stuff down, ready to go. And he was telling other people who were parked in the parking lot that I was in to go as well. And he came back over to my window and he saw me and he was like, I was like, oh, don't worry, like, I'm on my way, you know, I'm just getting stuff ready. And I was about to ask him if he knew of a spot that I could park in because, like I said, I didn't get any bad vibes from him. And he was like, can I ask you a personal question? I'm like, yes. He's like, were you in there doing dope? And I'm like, no, sir. Like, I was sleeping. You know, I was like, I'm on a long road trip and I just wanted to get some sleep before I was on my way in the morning, kind of thing. And then he was like, oh, you were just sleeping. He was like, okay, you know, I'm just like doing a sort of like patrol thing because we've been having problems with like people who don't live here kind of stopping here to do drugs. So, you know, I just wanted to make sure everything was on the up and up. And I was like, I totally understand that, you know, yeah, I'll be on my way. And he was like, if you were just sleeping, like, it's no problem, you can sleep here. And he was like, actually, why don't you even come over and park at my house? So you'll be safe and nobody will bother you and you can sleep. And I was like, thank you so much. I'll be gone in the morning. Like, thank you. And he was like, yeah, no problem. Like, sleep well. And that was it. And nobody bothered me all night. And then in the morning, I just left. And I feel like, so I've been doing this for probably about the past year. And one of the things that I always tell people when people are concerned about my safety is that I feel like in order to travel, you need to have some kind of trust in humans. If you don't have trust in the kindness of people, like, you're not going to have any fun. If you're paranoid, like, everything is going to make you feel bad. I'm not telling you to put your entire fate in other people's hands, but I'm telling you that, like, people are going to be kind. And if they're not kind and if you're in a dangerous situation, you should have good enough intuition and also enough trust in your own intuition to know when to leave a situation before it becomes an issue, you know? Because the more that you travel, the more observant you get, especially when you're a woman traveler, especially when you're a solo woman traveler, especially when you're a minority solo woman traveler, you know, all those things. So my, general rule was always that, you know, nobody's gonna come to me in hostility. Again, as long as you're not on private property. I don't know what happens on private property. Somebody could come up with a gun, like, you know. So I have never done that. But what I'm saying is, like, if I'm parking in a spot, people, like he did, are just going to ask you to move, especially if you're not making any noise, you're not disturbing anybody, you're being discreet. You know, nobody's gonna come up with a club ready to beat you up. They're just gonna be like, you know, you can't park here, can you move? So if that's the worst thing that can happen to me, then I'm fine. You know what I mean? And even cops, the cops might be like, you know, why are you here? What are you doing? But I'm sure when I explain, especially because, like, especially if you're a nice person, and I hate to put in the respectability politics, but if you're, you know, approachable, you're sweet, you know what I'm saying? People can feel that. People are receptive to that. So I've never had any problem where anybody has been hostile to me because I'm parked somewhere, you know? Like I said, before last night, I had never even been asked to move. Like, nobody was ever checking for me. It's like if people are sleeping near me, it's because they're sleeping, you know what I mean? So they're not worried about what you're doing. And then, you know, maybe the teenagers might be smoking a little weed in the car, but the teenagers smoking weed in the car are like great because they don't want anybody to know they're smoking weed, so they're quiet. Like, you know what I mean? They don't bother you. They don't even look at you too much because they're like, don't look at me too much, you know? Um, so yeah, I've never had any problems with that. And I will also say that, like, last night wasn't a problem because this man was like, you know, you're not necessarily in the best spot. You can come park at my house, you know? And that's so generous. Like, that's so nice. Rather than just being like, get out of here kind of thing. So yeah, That's that on parking. Oh, one time when me and Shelby, my best friend, we were driving to Florida. I don't know if we were driving to or from. I don't remember. But we were parking and we were like, oh, also, sorry, I forgot to say 24 businesses. 24-hour businesses are usually fine. Walmarts are usually fine. But sometimes certain Walmarts will say no overnight parking. But I don't generally like to park in businesses um, unless I have to, because it's much better to be out in nature or to camp or, things like that. So we were in this business, but we were parked right next to the vending machines. So, I mean, and I think it was like 25-cent drinks or something ridiculous like that. So the vending machines were popping and people were like constantly coming, going, etc. And a lady just walked past my car and she looked at me like I was crazy. But yeah, the vending machines were popping, so people are generally coming and going, and we were like, okay, this isn't necessarily the best spot to sleep. So we just pulled like into another parking lot that was sort of near it, and it looked like a business, but I guess it was one of those businesses that has houses attached to them, because as soon as we started to set up, a dog started barking. And I was like, maybe he'll shut up. No, he did not. He was barking his head off. So at this point, me and Shelby are like, go, just get in the car, forget about everything. Like, let's go, let's get out of here. And the way that the parking lot was set up, it makes it look like everything is sort of an entrance and an exit. The curb was literally this big, and it was just like the weirdest curb I had ever seen. But it was dark, and like I said, we literally just hopped in the car to drive off really quickly, and we got stuck on the curb. Because my little Prius is already very close to the ground, and then it was weighed down by so much stuff. And when we went over the curb, we got stuck there. I was like, that's it. It's all over. I was like, we're done. This dog is going to come get us, and the cops are going to come get us, and too much. So Shelby had to get out, and she had to push the car. I mean, I was in reverse, but none of the wheels were on the ground. And the curb was literally just right underneath the middle of the car. So I'm like, just try to tilt it so I can get some traction and we can go. It was too much. And we got it though. We got it. And after we parked in a church parking lot. I like to park in church parking lots because I don't know if this is law, but I feel like they can't kick you out of a church parking lot. Like, especially if you're not like disturbing anybody or making any noise or anything. Because I mean, like, it's the church. Like, the church shouldn't kick you out. That's very ungodly, So I feel like if anybody were to ever be like, you're not supposed to be here, I would just like pull a like Quasimodo and just like, sanctuary. So yes, that's parking. So I just wanted to pull over and make this quick video, but I'm gonna get back on the road now, on my way to Idaho. Okay, bye guys.